Welcome to the Marketing Blab with Debra. I'm Debra Jason, author of Millionaire Marketing on a Shoestring Budget and DebraJason.com. And I want to welcome everybody. We've got people from all around the country here. Brian, I just lost you, so you're going to need to jump back on.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I don't see you.
See, I can see me in there. So
that is odd.
All right, I'll jump out and
jump out and come back in. So everyone, will do some housekeeping. Don't forget to click on the little button that says Tell a Little Bird and tweet this out so we can share the love with the rest of the Twitterverse and the Blabaverse. And then at the bottom of the image, you'll notice some hands down in the lower corner. Let's see if I point to it in the lower corner. That is what Blab calls props, but it's a way for you to give applause, a way for you to acknowledge the person who's speaking, or to show your appreciation, or to just say you agree with something that's being said. Hi, you're back, Brian.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see
Yay.
you. So hopefully we'll keep rolling along smooth as silk. I'm just going through some housekeeping, telling people about the props in the lower hand with the right hand and the left hand. Click on those. In the top corner, you'll notice my name or Brian's name and our Twitter handles. So if you're not following us, there'll be a little white box, and you can click on that and follow us. And if it's filled in, that means you already are following us on Twitter. So without any further ado, what I want to do is introduce my guest, who is Brian Basilico. And Brian and I met about 5 or 6 months ago at an event. I'm a big proponent of events. For those of you who go, it's a great way to connect with people. And Brian is a speaker as well. He's also a professor. And guess what? He's an author.
Bacon.
And got little pages marked here, but Brian wrote, "It's not about you, it's about bacon." And I asked Brian to come on the show because many of you know that my concept or my philosophy about marketing, and I think, Brian, tell me if you agree, I think you do, is that marketing is about building relationships.
That's the title of the book.
That's the subtitle of Brian's book. It's Relationship Marketing in a Social Media World. And actually, let's see, Brian has what he calls baconisms. And on page 7, he says, relationship marketing is treating people as people. So I want you to help welcome my guest. Give him some props. Brian Basilico. Thanks for being here today, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me, Debra.
Well, you know, it's always awesome to have somebody who thinks like I do about marketing, and have a fellow author. I want to ask you, though, will you share what inspired you to write this book? Sure.
Well, as I started I'm having a little bit, hold on one sec here.
Okay.
Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so that's better. Are you hearing an echo?
I don't hear an echo, but you are.
Okay, that's much better. All right. Yeah, it was like all of a sudden getting this crazy echo. So anyways, I started writing this book as a how-to book in social media. And about quarter of the way through writing the book, I figured out that was not going to work because it was all obsolete by the time I got done with like the 3rd or 4th chapter. So what I decided to do was write a book about why do social media, and that's a why-to book. And that's the whole thing that I was trying to get across in this book, is trying to get people to understand the relationship part of it. And it's really more about face-to-face networking, which I know you do a lot in Colorado, and I do a lot in Illinois. I mean, I was at a mastermind this morning, and it was, you know, a great way to get to know people, but also to explore other businesses, for people to get to know you. And those relationships are the things that eventually turn into the trust, which turns into transactions.
Well, you know, we talk a lot about what I call the KLT factor, which is the know, like, and trust.
Right.
And, you know, let's see, on page 28 of your book, and actually for those of you who visit my blog, we have an excerpt from Brian's book on the blog. But one of the things that he wrote is social networking is becoming an extension of face-to-face networking. It will never replace it, But you can enhance personal relationships by extending a virtual continuation of what happens in person. So, you know, when you go to those face-to-face events, and actually, let's take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
You can meet people on social networks and then end up meeting them in person. I think we might have been connected on Facebook before we met in person at NAMS. So that brings the relationship to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, it definitely brings it to a different level because, I mean, meeting face to face really enhanced our relationship. I got to know you better. You got to know me better. You know, that was the building of the relationship. I believe in the concept of know, like, and trust in this is you get to know somebody generally face to face first. Mm-hmm. The online portion being social media is where you enhance that relationship. You saw Buddy Guy walking around before. You've seen pictures of Buddy Guy. You know, there's a connection with the dogs, and that's where you get to know somebody better, mm-hmm. and you get to like them because you have similar things and connections. And then that trust portion is where you trusted me enough because you saw me be on other Blabs or give speeches and do that thing that you trust me enough to bring me in front of your audience, which I consider to be a transaction. So that's where I say, you know, the relationships can happen online, but it's always so much stronger when you get to meet face to face. So we kind of did it the reverse. We met online and then we met face to face and then the trust happened, right?
Well, absolutely. And, you know, so many times I think, and tell me if this has happened to you, but you go to a business event and somebody really doesn't take that time to get to even know you. Immediately, mm-hmm. It's like, hi, my name is Debra. Here's my card. And they move on because their goal is to pass out business cards. So it's really important to take that time to, one, show that you are interested in other people. Because when you show you're interested, then they will find you interesting. And one thing I want to bring up, because it's also in the blog post that you shared, is that you talk about here's what you said. Part of sharing is giving people what interests them. Mm-hmm. And nothing does that like babies, puppies, and
bacon.
So
yeah, well,
why don't you
subscribe
on
to,
that
you know, when it comes to any kind of marketing and stuff like that, I subscribe to the mentality that we're here to provide something for somebody. So you brought up the I call them the sniper. That's the person that walks around and their goal is to deliver as many business cards as they can. And occasionally they'll collect yours and they'll take these business cards and they'll immediately go online and say, hey, I've got the greatest thing since butter bread. You need to check this thing out. And it's like, they don't know me. They don't like me. They don't trust me. I mean, the same thing happens on LinkedIn all the time. In LinkedIn, somebody will send you a connection request. And then immediately after that, you'll get a message from them saying, hey, would you watch this video and spend a half hour of your time? Or would you like to get together for coffee so that I can sit here and sell you all the things that I have? That's not how it works. What really matters is when you meet somebody face to face, the goal is to try to understand who they are and how you can be of service to them. It may not be that you're trying to actually give them any particular business or something like that, but it could be maybe you have a referral form. Maybe you could connect them up with a power partner. Maybe there's something that you can do to enhance them and their business. By giving first and expecting nothing in return, it's amazing a lot of times how people reciprocate when they do those kind of things, right?
Well, you know, when I speak about that topic, I talk about many times referrals that I've received are from people not that I did business with in the sense of they didn't hire me as a writer, they didn't hire me as a speaker, but they knew me and liked me and trusted me because we were on a board of directors together and they got to know me that way. Or they were on a committee with me and we got to know each other that way. So it's awesome when the phone rings, you know, or you get an email and that person says, you know, Brian referred me to you. Not because Brian and I worked together on a project, but we worked together in a team on a committee or some other event where we really built that relationship and got to know each other and like each other and trust each other. But here's a question for you that just came up. I have a colleague about, a month ago. She referred, somebody had said to her, you know, I'm looking for an awesome illustrator. She said, I know this guy, he did illustrations for my book. He is awesome. So just for the sake of names, she referred Joe to Bob. Well, Joe and Bob had a conversation. Bob did the illustrations for Joe, and then Joe decided, and they agreed upon a price, and Joe decided he didn't want to pay that price after the work was done. My friend who did the referral felt terrible because she thought she knew, liked, and trusted Joe. She really liked and trusted the illustrator. And she felt bad for him because she referred somebody to him who now wasn't paying her. Have you ever had an experience like that?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Oh, really?
One of the things that I try to do is when I'm doing referrals, if somebody comes to me and says, and you know, a lot of my networking and stuff like that, I'm really trying to build up what I call my golden Rolodex. I'm trying to get as many people that I know that do certain things. So here's one of the challenges is I try to refer a minimum of 2, if not 3 people for the same task. And the reason I do that is, and everybody knows that I do that, is so that person can connect up with 3 different people and say, okay, here's option A, here's option B, here's option C. Their personalities will gel based on who they are. When you do that single referral, a lot of times, yeah, your reputation is on the line to somebody when you do that. And, you know, I don't like having that burden, so to speak, because yeah, if the relationship goes sour, it happens all the time. I mean, I worked with somebody recently who I did some work helping them set up their podcast and sent them an invoice, and then they never got back to me. And then they turned around and said, well, you know, you charged me X, and I didn't expect that price, and you know, I'm not going to pay that. And they only went halfway through the process, and I said, look, you know, here's the thing. I have 100% money back guarantee on everything that I do. It's crazy, but it works. And if you're not satisfied, I'll just kill the bill. But the thing is that what they've done is they've burned a bridge. You know, I will never recommend them for anything. And, you know, they'll probably never recommend me either, but that's okay. You know, it's like when you set expectations up front of what is, you know, clear. And I try to do that with all my clients. Here is what is expected from you. Here's what I'm going to deliver. Here's the cost. And I let them know up front what exactly to expect. And occasionally that does happen. So you can't stop that. But what you've got to do is you've got to manage it. So when it comes to giving recommendations, I try to do 2 or 3 to avoid that situation. Then at that point, they know I've handed this thing off and it's not on my shoulders, right?
And that's a great point. You know, I don't know that she thought of that. You know, the guy asked for an illustrator and the first name that came up was somebody she knew well. But what we said to her in this group where we were talking about it was, you know, it's not her responsibility to vet the person, you know. So when she connects those 2 people, like you said, they have to take time to talk to each other, see if they are a match, you know, and work it out between the 2 of them. I love what you said about giving 3 referrals. I used to do that a lot when I sold real estate. If somebody asked for, you know, a mortgage broker, I didn't give 1 name, I gave 3. Because just what you said, you've got to talk to people. Not everybody is a fit, you know. And one of the things I talk about with clients is, you know, it's not about you just seeing if I'm a fit for you. I want to see if you're a fit for me. Right. So that then we really make a partnership and have a great relationship. And you said something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, with, you know, a lot of my clients, I always do a free half-hour consultation. And so I can understand where they're at and where I'm at, and so that there's some kind of meeting of the minds. In my coaching that I do, because I do marketing coaching for small companies and large companies and things like that, I have an intake form. And I can tell when they fill out the intake form if they're going to be successful or not, because the ones that actually go through and fill in the esoteric questions, what are your goals, who's your competition, all that other stuff, I know that they're really serious about it. When the ones that come in and say, don't know, they're the ones that I don't want to work with because they're not going to be successful. The other thing, too, this is really important to me, and I've kind of taken this on as a business moniker, is I only want to work with people who can read a balance sheet. If they can't read a balance sheet, they're not going to understand return on investment. And what I always say is that marketing marketing is an investment. Coaching is an investment. And you need to understand that when you do something, like when you're writing pieces and doing things, that's an investment. That's a piece of property that they have that they can utilize in a lot of different ways. You know, they can use it in blog posts, they can use it for intros, they can use it for, you know, what have you. There's so many different things that you can do with that investment. So I want to work with people that really understand that, and that's why I have that. I want them to be able to read a balance sheet. And you know, a lot of businesses that are out there are really just more hobbies, and they just don't generally get the process of actually getting a return on investment, right? You've seen that?
Yeah, well, you know, there are many people out there that go, hey, I love this. I love what I'm doing. Let's make it a business.
Right.
And another step behind that is realizing, well, it's great that you love what you do, but when you make it a business, there are things you need to do to get the word out there so that you can market your business. So one of the things I say is, you know, it's about, first of all, increasing your visibility, because if people don't see you, how do they know whether or not to do business with you? So, you know, that kind of goes back to not just the social networking online, but the face-to-face networking, because you got to get exposure for your business. If you don't get that exposure and someone says, you know, gee, I need an illustrator, but they don't know you're an illustrator, then the business won't just come knocking on your door unless you happen to have some big name. That's my take on it. But, you know, on the back of your book, you know, there's one, what I call a vital strategy that you said is golden for your business. And that strategy is relationship marketing and building relationships, you know, both new ones and nurturing existing ones. So do you have a process or anything that you do in particular for staying in touch and nurturing those relationships once you have them?
Well, you know, nurturing relationships is a process. I mean, I use my own marketing tools to keep my brand and myself in front of other people. So, for example, and I do have a weekly process that I go through. I have a podcast. It's called, guess what? Bacon Podcast. It's baconpodcast.com. And so an example of that is, you know, we went to the end, we meet all these incredible speakers and stuff. And, you know, these people are people that I want to interview to get my audience to know, because they're, you know, there's an incredible brain trust out there. So what I do is I interview an expert. As a matter of fact, I'll be on with Joel Comm in a little bit. We're going to be talking about Blabs. So he's coming on. I'm going to interview him after this show, and we're going to be talking about Blabs. And so then what I do after that is I do my own research and create a monocast of myself talking about my experience with Blabs, like today. You know, we'd log on, we could get the audio, you know, then I was getting an echo, and it's, you know, yada, yada. It's just the little things about it as you get to learn how to use this. Then I also write a blog every single week on the same topic. So I've got a monocast on Monday, a blog on Tuesday, guest expert interview on Wednesday, and then Thursday I have one of my virtual assistants do a digest email of all the things that I did that week. So I've got a strategy from all the people that are on my list to be able to communicate with them all of the tools, tips, and techniques that I have to keep them entertained. Now, that's just one audience. There's the separate audience, which is my friends and family and high school friends on Facebook. You know, that's a different audience. So I do things on there like having a caption contest every night, or posting pictures of Buddy Guy, or, you know, showing networking meetings that I'm going to. On LinkedIn, I have a different strategy. On Twitter, I have a different strategy. You know, all of these people that I'm meeting, I'm trying to meet them where they're at. That's one of the things that's a core competency in my world is, and this is what I teach all of my students and my clients and my coaching clients and all that stuff, is you need to be where people want you to be. You need to be communicating to them the way they want to be communicated to. Now, an example of that is, I got the iPhone 6, okay? And my wife, she had a rotary dial cell phone before this. She literally did. And we got older kids in their late 20s, early 30s. And so when I gave her my iPhone 5, she finally found the button with Siri on it. And she hit the button, she talked to it, and she says, oh my God, I could talk to the phone, it'll text the kid. Now, she'd leave voice messages for the kids. They'd never call back. But when she started texting them via Siri, all of a sudden the kids were communicating back like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about understanding your audience and where they're at and communicating with them the way they want to be communicated to, right?
Well, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that I do is I love two things. First, I want you to share the tagline for your Bacon podcast.
Sure. It's making your business sizzle online.
Yeah,
That's
so
one of
I
them.
think that's awesome. And two, now I lost my train of thought. But let's talk about, the whole, we were talking about how to stay in touch with people. That was my train of thought. So oftentimes what I do is when I'm nurturing relationships is to email people, to call people, and to send a handwritten note.
Mm-hmm.
Not all at the same time. I might do it one every 2 weeks. And when I do that, it's if there's been a conversation, then the note might follow up on something in the conversation. But if there hasn't, the note doesn't necessarily say, hey, hire me, buy from me. It just says, hi, how are you? It's Labor Day weekend. Hope you have a great weekend. And I have had people say to me, wow, thanks for sending that note. So meeting people where they want to be, and connecting with them. And this is another great point. It's in my book. I think Patty Farmer.
Yes.
Patty does this thing when she's at an event. She takes somebody's business card and she says to them, how do you want to connect with me? Do you prefer Google Plus? And she folds down a corner of her card for Google Plus. Or do you prefer Twitter? And she folds down a different corner for Twitter or LinkedIn. So when she gets back to her office, she connects with them the way that they wanted to be connected. Mm-hmm. So she pays attention to that. So what you're saying is really, excuse me, a really solid concept. So everybody listen in, think about, and I say this to people when they go, where should I go on social media? Think about where your people are hanging out.
Right.
And for many of my friends, they're all on Facebook. Quite a few of them are on LinkedIn, but I'll find if I reach out on LinkedIn, I hear back from them faster on Facebook than I do on LinkedIn. They're not there as often. And some will actually start conversations with me on Twitter, back and forth. So really important to look at where is your audience, and nurture them where they want to be nurtured. Pay attention to them and talk to them where they want to talk to you. So, and that texting thing, with the younger generation, they don't pick up the phone anymore. They just pick up the phone to text. So that's an awesome point. I want to jump in, though, and ask you, what does bacon have to do with marketing?
All right, well, let me tell you the whole bacon story. So I was giving a speech in LA at Craft and Hobby Association at their convention with a couple of my friends, Rich Kaiser and Georgianne Bender, and they are retail marketing people. That's what they do. Now, these guys, just to talk about how relationships work, when I owned my recording studio in the 1990s, they used to work at Ben Franklin Crafts. They were the marketing department based in Chicago. So we've kept our relationship going forever. As a matter of fact, we were just chatting a couple of minutes ago online. And Georgianne invited me out to speak with those guys on social media at the Craft and Hobby Association. So Georgianne pulls up her phone and she says, okay, I'm going to tweet, giving a speech at CHA LA 2012, #bacon. And by the time we're done, I'm going to have 10 new followers. Well, she was wrong. She had 20 new followers, twice as many as she thought. And so I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. But I wasn't a big Twitter user at the time. I'm much bigger in it now. So what I did is I started taking my phone and I started taking pictures of bacon because I went to a lot of breakfast meetings. Now, I was taking these pictures of, bacon and eggs and stuff, and I put it up on Facebook, and my friends were coming at me saying, dude, you have a prepaid plan with your cardiologist. And I said, you don't understand. I eat oatmeal. This is OPB, other people's bacon.
I don't eat bacon.
Yeah. So I started then, it just started to explode that people would constantly put up on my wall pictures of, turkey wrapped in bacon, this and bacon, that and bacon. As a matter of fact, I've got a whole shrine. I mean, people send me things in the mail. It's like, hey, dude, I found this. Check this out. And then, I got bacon from somebody, bacon cotton candy. And then I got, somebody sent me, it's a bacon lottery ticket, and all this. So I've got a whole shrine up there. And it just exploded. And the whole point of it is, it's a memorable brand. As a matter of fact, the two most shared things on the internet, number one is kittens, and number two is bacon.
Is bacon.
In that order. Yep. So what happened is this became a brand that I was able to stand out from the crowd with. And that's essentially what I ask people at the very, very end of the book is, what is your bacon? What's the thing that makes you stand out? Yours happen to be golden shoelaces, right? But it could be anything. It could be your kids, your dog. It could be anything like that. So bacon is about creating a memorable brand that people, when they see something, will think of you, and you become top of mind. And that's what the relationship is about. It's top of mind marketing, right?
Absolutely. That's what I talk about a lot, is how do you increase that visibility so that you do have top of mind awareness. So when somebody does need someone like you, your name is the one that comes to mind.
Right.
It's so important. And you brought up something else about the branding. We might have talked about this on another show, but it's not just about your logo. And branding is not just about a business card. That's just a piece of it. Branding is everything that you just talked about, is having people know you for something that you stand for. Mm-hmm. So that's really awesome. I like that. I want to know, though, before you started doing this, before you started doing your own business, did you have a lot of marketing experience? Did you know about the world of branding?
Oh, yes.
Or was that something you had to learn along the way?
Well, I mean, you still learn along the way. You're always learning. That never changes. But to get into my history, this is how I started. I started at like 15 or 16 years old. I took a PA system from my band and turned it into a recording studio. And then at 18, my dad actually built a recording studio in our basement. So I was doing, at that time, my idea of marketing and branding was pretty much the same thing as anybody who I got on a list or got to know, like, and trust. I would take down their email address, or no, their mail address. This is pre-email. And I would actually use my Atari 400 printer, and I would print out stories of how they could do better audio and things like that, and microphones. And I would take it and I would cut it out, and I would paste it on a 11 by 17 piece of paper, take it to a printer, and actually have it printed and then mailed to people. So from there, I was doing, that kind of marketing way back then. I ended up going to college and learning electronics, and then I went to work for AT&T in their video department. So I was doing video. Actually, the first project that I had was wiring the studio, moving it from one location to another. And I mean, this is a lot of gear. This is like over $1 million worth of gear. And so I was kind of the tech there. And then all of a sudden, my boss walks up to me and he says, "How much is your house worth?" And I said, "Well, it's worth about $40,000. It was a condo at the time." He says, "Okay, I'm putting a camera on your shoulder tomorrow, and this camera happens to be worth twice what your house is, so don't drop it." So you can imagine the video was like this, man, because I'm not going to drop this thing. It's like, oh no. So from there, I learned how to edit video, produce video, shoot video, do all that kind of stuff. Left that company and opened up a audio production company called Sound Decisions, where I did radio commercials, jingles, all the cassettes for Avon ladies, audio for TV shows, radio, just like all that kind of stuff, real heavy duty audio production. And it was a very successful business, had 5 employees, was doing $500,000 worth of business, ended up selling that to a multimedia production company and worked on developing CD-ROMs, websites, flash animation, all different kinds of things at that time. Went to work for Arthur Andersen in their training division, which is up here in St. Charles, Illinois. And there we were developing really high-end training modules. Like one of the things I developed was, you remember the slide trays? Remember when you had like 3 slide trays and stuff like that? And then you'd have 3 of them go across? Well, what we did is we developed a Macromedia Director program that would take, this is way back, with digital photography. You could pull those in and actually sort them across 3 video projectors from one computer. And it would do that 3 projector style slideshow from one machine. It was like unheard of. You couldn't really do that. We made Macromedia Director do things it couldn't do. Left that company, went to work for an ad agency in Chicago, and there I focused on, like, we were selling banner ads and doing websites and Google and those kind of things. And after I left that company, I started this company 15 years ago. When I opened up the company, we were actually doing business. The whole thing was based on business card CDs. They had a little hole in the middle, and you could fill in the business card with like video or program and stuff like that. And obviously, nobody has CD players anymore, so that went away. So as you can see, I had to really learn and evolve as I went along to take the technology and adapt it to what's here. I mean, I was one of the first, not one of the first, but I mean, LinkedIn came out in 2003, and I was on it in 2004. So it was like 6 months after it started. And I've been learning LinkedIn, and I've been learning Facebook and Pinterest and Google Plus, and all of these things from both a technical standpoint, because I have a developer background, but also from a marketing and creative standpoint to try to maximize all of those tools to help customers find their audience and communicate with their audience.
Well, here's a question for you, since my book is about cost-effective ways to market yourself and how do you increase your visibility that way. Do you have one favorite marketing strategy that you feel is your favorite cost-effective marketing strategy?
Well, my favorite cost-effective marketing strategy is blogging. I mean, that really, to me, is writing good content and getting it shared across the internet is probably my favorite. But here's, again, it goes back to the point that we talked about before. Where is your audience and where will they find you? So, the strategy has to be based on, it's so different for everybody. I work with a guy that he does barcode testing. That's what he does. He tests, QR codes like these right here and barcodes and things like that. And I mean, his audience is all over the place. It's everything from a mom and pop shop to like Pfizer, the pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that, Yeah. So he, what he does is going to be vastly different than what, say, a local plumber does, or the realtor that I work with, or the lawyer that I work with. I mean, it's every strategy is based on where is your target audience and how can you best communicate with them.
Well, one of my guests later this month is Michelle Schafer. I don't know if you met her, but she's a blogging authority. And, one of the tricks I find with blogging is getting people to find your blog.
Right.
So, for example, I get a lot more traction when I publish on LinkedIn than I do on my own blog. So do you have any feedback on that?
Yeah, I mean, I go everywhere with it. I go Facebook, I go LinkedIn, I go Twitter. One of the things I was able to do is get my blog syndicated. It's syndicated through Business to Community. And so every time I post a blog, it not only goes out to all of my peeps, but Business to Community has about 100,000 people that read that. And then occasionally Business to Community will sell that to Yahoo Small Business. So now it's being seen by over 1 million people. So awesome. By getting that aggregated out there, and that's one of the things that you have to do is figure out your niche. And then, like, for example, the guy who does barcoding, there is an aggregator that specifically talks about barcodes. So he can get his content not only up on LinkedIn, but aggregated to that barcode blog post aggregating website, so more and more people see his stuff. So it just depends on your audience again.
Cool. Well, I want to open it up to anybody that's listening in today. If they want to jump on board, if they have a question for Brian, or if they just have some comments or feedback. People have been posting in the comment section, some talking about branding and some talking about, branding is about fonts and colors, but I say that's a piece of it, but it's more than that. So if anybody's out there and has a question or a comment that they want to share, there's a box down here that says
Open Seat.
Open Seat. And if you click on that, I'll let you in. So feel free to do that. And I'd be happy to see you here. Right now, I'm just seeing all your little circles up above. But
hi, circles.
The little circles here, we've got, oh my God, look who's here. Michael Neal.
What's up, Michael?
How are you?
Hey, Michael. Awesome
How you doing?
to see you, buddy.
How are you today?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to see you here. I see you all the time on Facebook doing your, what I call your kooky videos.
My kooky videos. My bacon.
But I love them.
That's your bacon.
That's my bacon.
Right.
That's your bacon. And, well, here's a question for you, Michael, and I might have asked you this on Facebook. Why do you shoot them in the car a lot of the time?
Because I don't have a lot of free time, and I'm trying to maximize downtime. And if I'm in the car for a minute before I go into an appointment, that's a great time.
Awesome.
I like it.
Did
you have a question or anything you wanted to ask of Brian or myself, or did you just pop in to say hi?
I just popped in to say hi. I'm enjoying the show, and I like the information that you're both providing, and looking forward to more.
Good.
Well, I would say, talking about branding, I don't necessarily associate Michael with anything in particular like bacon or gold shoestrings, but I do associate him
I have no identity.
No, I'm not. You do have an identity, which is, those fun little videos, and sometimes they have very deep meaning, and sometimes it's just quirky fun. So you never know what it is that people will identify with you.
See, and I like to think of you as the Clark Kent of internet marketing. That's the way
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so pull off that shirt and let's see that.
And he's gonna have a cape and a Superman shield under there. I know he does.
I don't. I actually out being clean today. I'm sorry, but that will be another video for another day.
There you go.
All right.
Well, awesome. Thanks for stopping in, Michael. We've got 3 people that want to jump on board, so I'm going to open the door to them. Great to see ya. Thanks for coming. Michael. So we've got Yvette. Hey, Yvette. Yvette, you're in, let's see.
Curacao.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's in the Caribbean.
Yes, all the way down south. Hello.
What's happening?
Hey, thanks for joining us, Yvette.
So good to see you guys. And once again, I was taking notes and notes and notes. And
well, that's good. That's good. That's good. What time is it where you are?
It's right the same time. It's like Eastern time. So we're at 2 o'clock and a little bit.
Okay. So it's not in the middle of the night. I know we had somebody here from Ireland and it's about 8 or 10 hours later.
Yes.
So pleasure to see you here. Did you have a question you wanted to ask or just jumping in for some feedback?
Oh, it was just jumping in to say hi and support and cheer you on.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who are watching, here's another beautiful thing about attending events, because that's where I met Yvette. It's where I met Brian. Brian, did you meet Yvette at an event?
Yeah. And one of the things about events that we were talking about a little bit is when I go to events, I try, again, to have that whole servant mentality. So I found one of the best ways to meet people is to be an active participant, not just sit in the back of the room as a lump of coal, but actually I help with audio, video, computer stuff. And Yvette was in there, man. She's typing her little fingers away the whole time. So we got to spend a lot of quality time together and really get to know each other. And it also gave me the opportunity to get to know the speakers on a level that most people in an event would not have that opportunity. So being an active participant in an event, not just showing up, I think is incredibly important. And Yvette, you are a living, breathing example of how awesome that is, right?
Well, I really like, and I'm very thankful that I get the opportunity to travel and to visit events like these. And like Brian, I have that servant attitude, because if you go to an event, you don't know anyone. For me, it's usually hard to just jump in on a group. Whereas if I attend as a volunteer, I get to work with people, and it's so much better. You get to know each other much better. You have the greatest conversations, and I've been geeking out with amazing people because, yes, I'm a tech girl, somewhere halfway tech and marketing. So, yeah, we had a blast. And with Brian, yes. Oh,
yes,
wait until next year, because I'm going to be there.
Awesome.
I said I wanted to volunteer for that last event, but I was a first timer. And so they said to me, we like our first timers not to volunteer because we want them to be out mingling. But I think volunteering is a great way to connect, just like we were talking about earlier, when you get involved in an organization or get on a board of directors. It's a great way to build that know, like, and trust, especially when you get to an event and you don't know anybody there. Right. It could be really scary.
It can be, yes. And I tend to get more jumpy when I'm new. So if my mindset is on helping people, I come across better as well. So other than being very busy, and it just connects much better.
Agreed.
Awesome.
So
we have 2 more people.
Go volunteer.
What? Volunteer.
Everyone go volunteer.
That's a very cost-effective way to market yourself. Is to go out there and meet people and get, like Brian said, talk to some of the people who are speaking, so you connect with them, because it's always fun to meet the speakers, and then meet the other volunteers. And that's one little community within the bigger community.
Mm-hmm.
We should write a book about that, marketing by volunteering.
Well, there's a concept for you. You can get started on it, Yvette.
Okay, I'm going to leave my place to someone else.
Okay, thanks for jumping on board.
Great seeing you, Yvette.
So we've got Catherine. Here we come. Catherine said earlier she's kind of a techie geek. She's had me on her show.
Hi guys.
Hi,
How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you. Thanks for jumping on board. Have you ever met Brian Basilico?
I have not until today. Hi, Brian. Thank you
Nice to
for
meet
all
you.
your tips. Nice to meet you too. So I have a question for you. It sounds like you found an amazing niche and you knew what your bacon was. What is your advice for people to find their own bacon?
Well, the advice to find your own bacon is to really look at yourself and find out what makes you unique. Now, and I say this, it can be a hobby, it can be an animal, it can be your kids, it can be something about you, but it's the thing that makes you stand out from the crowd in what you do. So there's got to be something. So what are you passionate about?
Right. No, I get that. I was just asking of other people because I know I talk to so many people and they'll say, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm known for. And for me, I have many things, but, my trademark is this accessories and the big hair. And that works for me. So somebody thinks curls, they think Catherine, they think,
Right.
They see my bracelets, for example, they know that's my thing. They can hear me before they see me. So that's what I use all the time. But for people, they try to complicate it, and it's not that difficult. What are you interested in? What do you think about? What do you see in your face, in your head when you think of yourself and your brand? I think.
Mm-hmm.
You bring up a great point. What I tell people, and it's not just about branding, it's in writing and marketing, is to kiss each other. Kiss being what I call keep it simple, sweetheart.
Oh, that's nice.
Many people notice.
I say it a little differently, but I like yours better.
But I like keep it simple, sweetheart. And I think we have a tendency to complicate things.
Yes.
So, if you can keep it.
And I love your earrings. So you've got the bling thing down. That's what
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I kind of have to because I'm a fashion stylist, so I kind of have to. But thank you. Appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping on board, Kat. Well,
yeah,
Catherine, let's talk, because you mentioned a comment, you were saying something when we were talking about branding, about fonts and colors. So why don't you bring that up? Because we've been saying, it's not just about that. There's more to it as well. But you are, there is truth to what you're saying. People get to know you because they associate you with certain things. So
yeah, what I meant by that is an extension. You cannot be someone that is fun and happy and dancing all the time, and then your colors and your brand are drab and very serious and button up, because it's gonna be a disconnect. So what I meant by that is you have to extend your brand and who you are to everything about your brand, your colors, your fun. They have to match the person that you are.
Great, thanks for sharing that. Mine is kind of like a blue and a purple, a teal. And actually, when I went from my writing website and created a speaking site, I thought it needed to have similar colors, even though they're two different parts of my business, but I wanted people to connect one with the other.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping on board, Catherine. It's great to see you. We've got Tracy waiting here.
Awesome. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Here comes Miss Tracy.
Hi, guys.
What's up, Tracy?
Hi.
Hi.
All right.
How's it going, Trace?
It's been a great show, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks. We're glad that you hopped on board.
Well, I wanted to share my bacon.
I love your bacon.
My bacon is my red nose or my cupcakes. I think I'm pretty well known for cupcakes, and like you, Brian, people send me cupcake pictures all the time. So it's sticking. It's working.
Yeah, your cupcakes are definitely your bacon, and I sent you bacon cupcakes the other day.
You did. That's pretty awesome. Yes. Tying it together.
Yep.
And when the whole red nose thing happened, I mean, that went on for what, a month maybe.
Yeah. 400 noses.
Well, and here's a funny story I want to share. Tracy has her red nose, but she has a red nose on her car. And
really,
for those of you who don't know, I live in Boulder, Colorado, and I left my condo last week, and I'm walking down the street, and there's a car that has a red nose on it, and I'm like, that looks like Tracy's car. And then I see the red nose, I'm like, it has to be Tracy's car, and it was Tracy's car. So
yeah.
See, that's awesome branding, and that's exactly it. The license plate on my car has bacon on the back of it. Everybody knows I'm there.
Wow. Look who's here. Uh-oh,
Look
or
who's
not.
in the hall.
So I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
So, Debra. Oh, hi, Brian.
Hold on, Brian. Hold on. What's your question?
I have a question. You mentioned that woman with the turning down of the cards. I thought that idea was brilliant. Do you guys have any other really good tips? Your one best tip for going to a marketing event? You've talked about meeting them and talking with them and finding out about them. But in the card management of understanding these people, what's your best suggestions?
I've got a tip.
Go ahead.
And okay, so I went out and bought a neat scanner, and let me just show you this here. Oh, this is just a couple of them that I got here. Just a couple of cards just hanging around the office. Okay, so I bought this scanner, and I started scanning them in, and I started adding them to my email list and doing all this stuff. And what happened was I had a bunch of cards that were in a database that I had people who wanted nothing to do with me. And it ended up being I had like 2,000 people in my card list after I started scanning them. And it was just a dead-end database. So here's what I've done since. I go to a meeting. Somebody hands me a business card. I come home now, and I take this business card, and I email them. And I've got a set email that I give to them and say, hey, it was very nice to meet you at this meeting. Tell them what meeting it was. I would like to be able to help you in any way, shape, or form. Let me know what I can do for you. And then at the bottom of the email, I've got all my contact information, including my Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, my blog, podcast, whatever it is. So if they want to follow me, they can. Then I take this card and I throw it in the trash. And so if they want to communicate with me, they will communicate back. If they don't communicate with me, then the next time I see them and they hand me a business card again, I'll do it again. So that way they'll start to, if they decide that they want to connect with me, then I've got somebody who really does want to connect with me or really could use my help. So that's my tip.
Well, I do something similar. When somebody gets me a card, and I'm thinking a lot of people probably do this, I write notes. What did we talk about? And what did they say? So, for example, I was at something the other night, and a woman said, I love your book. I was thinking maybe I'd buy a bunch of them. So I made a note on that card. Somebody else tells me they have 5 kids. They have 5 children. And then when I email them, I say, gee, you must be busy with your kids today. How many soccer games do you have? So I try to take note. I take notes. And then when I reach out to them, I have something personal that I can share with them that we've talked about.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Brian? Do you have something you want to add?
Who, me or Brian G?
Brian G. He looks so serious.
B to the G to the J degree.
Hey, everybody. I saw a little Tweety bird. I'm on this new website. It's called Twitter. You guys, it's really cool. You can connect with other people and stuff. So I'm on this site, and I saw your Tweety bird, and I wanted to come in and say hello. And, Debra, you do such a great job when it comes to really connecting offline with other people. And I liked what Brian said, too, about, they give you the business card, and then you have an opportunity to connect with them on social media and whatnot. So great feedback and great tips. And Debra, like I said, you've sent me a few things. I probably sent you one thing, so you're ahead.
What, you mean like that? You mean like that telephone you were holding? Show everybody that phone.
Oh yeah, that you sent me this. This is I borrowed this from Kevin Knebel. I wish it was red, but I love it, Debra.
Sorry. I think when I ordered it, they only had black or gray.
Well, I just need it to show up, and it's like a prop now. I feel like special guest. Please come on now. I'm ready for your show.
One ringy dingy, two ringy dingy.
So Debra, welcome to Blab, and I'm so glad to see you on here too. And Tracy and Brian's back. Brian's always a guest. People just love Brian. Talking about networking, Brian Basilico, you are so fantastic at hustling and networking, and you're always at a network meeting. And how do you get things done, dude?
Well, because I stay up at night and just do it at night. I say between 8 o'clock in the morning and noon, that's my networking time, and anything after that is work on.
So do you feel like, what's the balance between working on your business versus in your business?
It depends. It really depends on what I'm doing.
Networking is working on your business.
Say what?
I think networking is working in your business.
I agree 100%.
So many people don't really see the value of that. It's how you grow. The more people you know, the more people are going to refer you, are going to use you. It's all about the people.
The four of us are on this because we were at events at one time or another together, right?
It's upside down.
So
it doesn't matter.
That's what networking is about, is meeting people and getting to know, like, and trust them, and then you end up in a Blab.
Well, that is true. You know, while these characters down here are joking around, you know, that is one of the value of building those relationships is, you know, everyone that's going to be a guest on my Blab is somebody that I've met through some event. And actually today, when I was letting people know about the Blab, I think it was Joel who said, "Oh, I'm going to be interviewed by Brian Basilico later." And I'm like, "Yes, but then aren't you going to be on a Blab with Brian G?" So he's making the round of Brian's today.
Wow.
He is, yes.
So, which reminds me, for everyone that is listening today, thanks for jumping on board, because Blab has become an addiction for many people, and there are Blabathons going on constantly.
Who's going
to the fact that you chose this one?
Yeah, speaking of not sleeping, Brian G started his own TV channel. He's blabbing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, man. He's just a Blabathon.
24 hours a day?
He doesn't sleep.
I hustle. Have you seen? I bought this new thing from Apple. It's called I Hustle.
I Hustle.
And you probably have stand-ins with poodles and stuff.
Indeed, indeed.
And throws out pixie dust.
Hey, have you ever had your poodles in a Blab yet?
Oh, yeah.
You did.
Olive. I'm like, what's your name over there? Olive. I had Olive on my lap, so that was pretty darn cool. And they're both beautiful right now because they just got fluffed and puffed.
Oh,
they got fluffed and puffed. Groomer. So here's the thing: if I can add any value, really, the whole gig with social media is just get a poodle and win.
Hey, buddy,
not a lot of people know this, but just
Buddy
get a
Guy
poodle.
was there.
Come here. Come here.
You know,
Come
I wish my dog
Hey,
was still
Buddy
around.
Guy.
Can you give me a paw? Oh, good boy.
Oh, awesome. Well, I don't have my dog here, but I can show you a picture. Wait, I'm coming back.
Let's get goofy while she's gone.
Absolutely.
So that was my awesome dog.
Oh, what a cutie.
So that was Ike. He was an awesome golden retriever. And, you know, he was probably part of my brand for a while because everybody loved him. And actually, I talk about him in my book because he was a great social networker.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
You know, Brian, Brian G, before you hopped on board, we were talking about what's one cost-effective marketing strategy that you like a lot.
I hustle.
You hustle.
He does hustle.
I hustle and share your personal experience with others. So get on platforms and share what you've done, share what you've learned. Be authentic. I think it's great when people share their story, the ups and downs. I think that makes people see that, you know, we're all human and we struggle and there's good times and bad times. And that's really just allowed me to grow a following. And the other thing I would say is someone was asking a while ago, like, you know, do you feel pressure with all these new platforms coming on board and how do you keep up? And I think for me personally, the answer is I don't necessarily try to keep up. I follow my heart, I follow my passion, and I know it's my responsibility if I want to achieve a high level of success just to get out there. So when I started with social media, it was Facebook. And I was kind of like, I'm on Facebook, and that was it for about 2 years. And I kind of thought about Twitter, and maybe I'll try LinkedIn, but it was, why do they always call it?
They always call as soon as they know you're on Blab, dude.
Just someone else. Hello,
okay,
may I
so
help you?
Buddy Guy is an awesome networker. Every day at 3 o'clock, he lets me know, dude, you know, it's time to go for my walk. And he goes out and he checks his P-mail every single day at 3 o'clock.
Okay, wait. What's P-mail?
What's P-mail? He's going sniffing the P-mail, like checking P-mail. You know, it's like, oh, George said hi. You know,
okay,
Jack said hi. Willow said hi.
Right? Well, you know, I didn't have to do that with my dog. He went out every day on his own.
Not Buddy, man.
If I lived in Hawaii.
Well, he was on the beach every day, so.
That's nice.
Female is new to me, so.
So now you know.
Well, and Yvette is commenting, oh, look at that tree. Let's send it some female.
Exactly. Well, he leaves his female and other dogs come around and sniff his female. You know, it's like, and when I take pictures of him, I only take pictures of him receiving, never sending.
That's a good father. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, you guys, we're going to wrap it up here because I want to try to keep the show to about an hour. But again, I want to thank everybody for jumping on board because I know there's lots of blabs you could choose from. There are other people getting interviewed. For those of you, Brian Basilico, why don't you tell people how they can find you and find your book?
Absolutely. Well, the easiest way to find me is go over here to Twitter and type in @BBasilico and friend me. So it's @BBasilico. You can find me on a bunch of different ways. Go to baconpodcast.com. Go to Not About You. It's NOTABOUT, the letter U.com. That's where my book is at. You can find it on Amazon, or you can find me on any social media network, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, any of those. I'm B. Basilico pretty much on all of them.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here today. Next week, I'm going to be with Kim Garst. For those of you who know, will the real you please stand up? She's going to be my guest next week. And your awesomeness is going to be here the week after that.
Woo-hoo!
Mr. Brian G.
That is you.
Who that?
On the 18th. Who is that guy? So thanks, everybody, for jumping on board, for tweeting out, for taking time out of your day, for playing with us, for whatever you want to do. Bring your red nose, bring your bacon, bring your gold shoestring.
Bring your pig.
Come play. Bring a pig.
Oh, a talking pig. Thank you, Debra.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, guys. Great to see you.
Good to see everybody.
Have an awesome
guys.
day.
Nothing but love.
Thanks, Deb, for having me.
Thanks, Brian. It's been
Take
awesome.
care.
Have a great day.
Great interview.
Sure.